Welcome to Get Your Play Online's Bedtime Stories. My name is Lindy, and tonight we are going to be reading a story about a very fearless young lady named Eugenie Clark. This is actually a true story, and it's called Shark Lady. And it is written by Jess Keating and illustrated by Marta McGuayens. So if you've watched some of our bedtime stories before, you might have already learned this, but in case you haven't, so when we say written by, the author, that is the person that wrote the book. So what do you think illustrated means then? Let's think about what's on a book usually. When we have a page of a book, there's usually writing, and what else do we usually see? We usually see drawings. So drawings, the person that colors the pictures, that's called the illustrator. So we have the author and the illustrator. So let's read a little bit. Let's flip to the back and read a little bit about what to expect from our book. So it says, Eugenie wished everyone could see sharks through her eyes. To others, sharks were ugly and scary, but Eugenie knew that they were beautiful. So Eugenie dove. So there she is diving down in the ocean. So it sounds like Eugenie thinks sharks are very special, but some other people think of them differently. So I wonder how that's going to play out in our book. Let's open it up and find out. So one thing, I did a little bit of research about this book before I started, and this is actually a nonfiction book, and that means that it's a true story. So sometimes we read books that come up out of authors, we learn about the authors that write the words on the books. They come up out of their imagination, so they're creating a story that they think of in their mind and they write it down. This is actually a story about a real person, and this person was born in 1922. That's almost 100 years ago. Wow. So some things, I want you to think about how things might be different today than they were for when Eugenie grew up. So when Eugenie's growing up and the things we see her do, I want you to think, you think it's the same today, or maybe are things different 100 years later? All right, so let's open up our book and find out. I have such beautiful pictures. Here she is on the cover, diving down with a shark. So it looks like since the title is Shark Lady, we're definitely going to learn about some sharks, I think. Let's see. So there's another title page, Shark Lady, the story of how Eugenie Clark, that's our main character, became the ocean's most fearless scientist. So it sounds like we're going to see her being very brave and fearless and learn how she became a scientist of the ocean. It was Saturday, and Eugenie wanted to stay at the aquarium forever. She wanted to smell the damp, salty air and stare at the glittery rainbow of fish. She wanted to keep watching her favorite animals, the sharks. So there she is at the aquarium. Let's get the right page. Here we go. There she is at the aquarium, and look what she's watching. Oh, that she's watching the sharks. Those are her favorite thing to look at the aquarium. I wonder what your favorite thing, when I go to an aquarium, I know what my favorite is. I wonder what your favorite at the aquarium is. Let's see what happens on the next page. Eugenie pretended she was walking on the bottom of the sea. What would it be like to swim with sharks, to breathe underwater with gills of her own? So gills are what sharks breathe with, and we can see them in the picture right there, those slits on their side. That's what helps them breathe. So Eugenie's wondering, what would it be like to be at the bottom of the ocean and to see the sharks and to breathe like with gills just like sharks? So let's imagine being at the bottom of the ocean. What do you think you would see? I think it would be beautiful. Lots of blues and greens and lots of glittery fish. I wonder what you're seeing in your mind. More than anything, she wanted to find out. So she really wants to know what it's like. So how do you think she's going to find out if that's really, really want to more than anything. So that sounds like a big dream of hers. How do you think she's going to do that? And so you can see, there she is at the aquarium with all the people, and she's thinking about the sharks. And I noticed something a little bit different about the clothes. Do you notice anything different? It looks to me like the clothes are kind of, like I said, she was born a long time ago. So when she was a child, it looks like the clothes were a little bit different than when you and I go to the aquarium now. When the summer came, Eugenie's mother took her to swim at the beach in Atlantic City. Stuffing sticky gum into her ears to keep water out, Eugenie dove down, down, down. Oh my gosh, that's so silly. She put gum in her ears to make sure she wouldn't get water in there. There she is doing it. The salt stung her eyes, but she didn't want to miss a single fish. Constellations of sea stars speckled the pebbled sand. She imagined a silvery fin standing strong on her back, slicing through the current. There she is diving down, 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 and she's seeing all the beautiful things at the bottom of the ocean. What do you think it would be like to have a fin on your back when you swam, just like a shark? I think that would be amazing. That's a fun thing to imagine, have a fin on your back, just like the one that the shark has on its back. It sticks out of the water. To others, sharks were ugly and scary, but Eugenie knew that they were beautiful. As she glided through the cool water, she wished everyone could see sharks through her eyes. But the sharks were only in her mind for now. Eugenie decided to learn everything she could about them. So right now she loves the sharks and she wishes other people could see them differently, but she's decided to learn everything she could about them. So what do you think are some ways that she could go about doing that? How can she learn about sharks and fish? Let's think about that for a minute. What do you think she'll do in the book to learn about them? Or if you had something you really wanted to learn about, what do you think you would do to be able to learn more about it? Let's see if we can get the answer next. So she dove. There she is. She's face to face with a beautiful fish. It looks like she's practicing. She's getting good at diving to learn more about the sharks and the fish by watching them. But this time, she didn't just dive into the ocean, she dove into books. Oh, what a great answer of a way to learn more. Whale sharks, nurse sharks, tiger sharks, lemon sharks. Eugenie wanted to know about them all. She also joined the Queens County Aquarium Society as its youngest member. Eugenie's notebooks filled with sharks. They swam in her daydreams and on the margins of her pages. So there she is. She's in the aquarium. She looks like she's in a library and she's studying the shark books, but these are either sharks, maybe they're the ones that are always around her in her head, or they could be the ones up in the aquarium. So that could be either way. It says that she was the youngest member of the Aquarium Society. How cool is that? So even at a young age, she knew what she wanted to do. She had a dream, and the first thing she did to learn more was to learn through books. Let's see what else. What do you think she's going to do to help accomplish her dream? Let's see what comes next in the book. At home, Eugenie's mother surprised her with an aquarium of her own. Guppies and clownfish. So there's the guppies, the little ones. Clownfish, they kind of look like Nemo. And coral-colored snails. It felt as big as an ocean in her room. Their small apartment became an aquarium, a laboratory, and a sanctuary. All of those things just from having this awesome aquarium in her house. So a laboratory is something that you study. Scientists use, that's like the where they go to study a different kind of science. So she's using this as her laboratory and a sanctuary. A sanctuary is where animals go, usually when they need a little bit of help. So if they can't live on the wild on their own, that's sometimes they'll help them. They'll bring them to a special sanctuary. It's almost like a zoo, but it's for animals that can't live on their own anymore, and they help take care of them. And sometimes they're able to let them back out in the wild once they recover. So she sounds like she is cares about her fish in this aquarium so much. I wonder what if you could have anything in your aquarium, if you could have one at home, what would you put in your aquarium? Would you put the guppies or the clownfish or coral red snails, or would you put something completely different? A totally different fish, or maybe even something like a salamander? I'd love to know your thoughts. As she grew older, many were still telling Eugenie what to do. Forget those sharks, they said. Be a secretary. Be a housewife. Eugenie wanted to study zoology, but some of her professors thought women weren't smart enough to be in science, to be scientists, or brave enough to explore the oceans, and they said sharks were mindless monsters. So it sounds like, and it says Eugenie knew better. Her dream was as big as a whole whale shark. So again, Eugenie dove. Wow, so it sounds like there are people that think that she shouldn't be a scientist because she is a woman, and also they think that sharks are mindless creatures. So this sounds like two things that Eugenie disagrees with them on. And we have to remember, like I said, this was way back a hundred years ago. So this was one of the things that was different, is that in some jobs they thought only men and boys could do. But now we know that women and girls, they can do every job. Boys, girls, women, men, any job they put their mind to, everyone is able to do any job they want to. But back then, it sounds like some people didn't think she could do that, her job, which was her dream job. So I wonder how she felt. She must have, I think I would feel very sad that people didn't think that I could do my dream job. How would you feel? And what do you think she's going to do to try to keep going for her dream, even though she disagrees with these people on these two things? So there she is. She's the only woman. It looks like she's in college now. She's the only woman in her classroom. So that's another thing that might be different. Remember, since she was born 100 years ago, now when you go to a classroom in college, it will be lots of boys and girls. She plunged into every course she could. Her laboratory became her home. From sunrise to sunset, she studied how fish grew, how they behave, and how they were put together inside and out. So there she is. She's studying them. She's observing them here. And she's dissecting them to see what's on the inside there. So she's becoming a scientist to study the fish. That's one way she's learning more to help her dream. Despite all of the people who didn't believe in her, Eugenie was becoming one of the smartest students in her whole field. Even after she earned her degree, many still doubted her. So she did a lot of schooling to learn about what she wanted to do, her dream job of working with sharks and fish. So she did a lot of school to help her, but even after that, there's some that are still doubting her. What do you think she's going to do? Do you think she'll give up because they're doubting her? Or do you think she's going to keep going and work even harder? Let's see. But Eugenie's work was just beginning. Eager to make discoveries of her own, Eugenie finally dove the open seas. Wow, can you imagine getting to dive in the ocean with the sharks? I think that would just be amazing. Would you be nervous or would you be excited? I'd be curious to know. In the Red Sea, Eugenie collected hundreds of fish, including 3 new species, not one, not two, but 3 new species that no one had ever found before. So she discovered them, and they are the red sea sand diver, the barred xenia pipefish, and the volcano tripplefin. That's my favorite. It has a cool name, and it looks pretty cool too. I like that. So wow, she stuck to her beliefs that she could be a great scientist, even though some people doubted her, and now she's making discoveries no one has ever made before. She is a very special scientist, isn't she? On a research mission exploring the Paolo Islands, Eugenie was diving alone when she encountered her first ever wild shark. She wasn't afraid. Instead, she thought it was beautiful. So here she is. She's with her first wild shark, and what she thinks is that the shark is beautiful. Not like many people have told her that sharks are mindless monsters. So most people would be scared, but she knows that they're beautiful and special. I wonder what she's thinking that first time. What would you be thinking? Let's see, these are darker, so I'll try to hold the pictures up a little better. In Isla Mujeres, she dispelled the myth that sharks must keep moving to stay alive when she swam through dark caves, still and silent, full of resting sharks. So before Eugenia, they thought that sharks had to swim to stay alive. They could never stop moving. But in this shark cave, she found all of these sharks. Look, they're still, and this is how they're sleeping or resting. So now she's found a new discovery that sharks can stop swimming and they can still live. So there's another discovery she has made. Eugenia's daring heart grew bolder with each dive. Soon they began to call her Shark Lady. So now she has a cool nickname, huh? Eugenie had proven she was smart enough to be a scientist, brave enough to explore the oceans. Wow, so she really has proven herself, huh? That she was smart enough to be a scientist and brave enough to explore the oceans. Sounds like her dream is really coming true from when she was a little kid. As her courage grew, she began to love and understand her beloved sharks more and more, but she never forgot. Many still believed that sharks were mindless killers. Because of their scary reputations, humans were hunting sharks all over the world. Eugenie knew that sharks weren't stupid or mean. So we can see that some people in this picture, they're catching sharks, they're fishing them, and they're using it for shark fin soup. So they just take their fin to make soup out of it, and they leave the rest of the shark. So she doesn't think that that's right. She doesn't think that they should be eaten. She thinks that they are beautiful creatures that should be studied. Let's see what she does about it. She was determined to prove everyone wrong. So here she is. She looks pretty determined to me, huh? What do you think she's going to do to help determine them wrong? I'm excited to find out. Eugenie fished through her mind and devised a brilliant experiment. So we know she's a scientist at heart, and scientists love to do experiments. So what do you think her experiment is, especially such a brilliant one? Could she train a shark the way a person trains a dog? That's a weird idea. Training a shark like a dog. Do you think she could do it? Were sharks much smarter than anyone knew? Do you think sharks are smart? Let's see what she found out. They were. Eugenie was the first scientist, another first. She's making so many discoveries in the world to train sharks, and even learned that they could remember their training for at least 2 months afterwards. So we see in this picture, looks like this shark is using its nose to ring a bell, and then it looks like it's coming back and getting its reward of a fish. And that's kind of like how they train a lot of animals. So it looks like her experiment was right. Her hypothesis was right that sharks are smart. And she used her experiment to show them that they were able to learn tricks and that they're smart. Wow. What trick would you, if you could train a shark to do any trick, what trick would you train a shark to do? I think there could be some pretty cool ones. I think if I could do any one, I would want to check with the scientists and make sure it wouldn't hurt the shark, but I think standing and surfing on a shark would be so cool. Or having them maybe fetch a ball back to you. If you threw a ball in, that would be pretty cool too. I'm curious to know what you would want to teach a shark. Sharks were not mindless killers, so she proved that when she showed how smart they were with her experiment. Sharks were beautiful. Sharks were smart. They didn't. They deserved to be studied, protected, and loved. And Eugenie's dream was now a dream come true. Oh, what a happy ending. Her dream came true. So it says that she thought that sharks were beautiful and they deserved to be studied and protected and loved, and that her dream came true. What can we see in her story that shows that all of those things came true? Can you think of anything that shows that from what Eugenie did, that they were shown to be smart, or that she showed that they should be studied or protected or loved? Can you think of anything? Maybe when she found all of those new types of fish, and maybe when she showed how smart sharks were. And another thing, look at all of these people at the aquarium now. They're not just looking at fish. Now there's a shark there, and they are all looking at the shark with amazement and beauty and wonder, and not just like the shark is scary. So that's a great way that she had made her dream come true. That is the end of the story. I really enjoyed this Shark Lady by Jess Keating. The illustrations were so beautiful by Marta Dominguez. And I really enjoyed this true story of Eugenie and how she she was a kid with a dream, and she was able to accomplish her dreams. What are a few ways that you can think of that how was she able to accomplish her dream? Let's think about that for a second. I think one of the ways is that she practiced. So she practiced diving, and that helped her. And then remember, she wanted to learn about sharks. So what else helped her to learn about shark and help her accomplish her dream of becoming a shark scientist? When she read books at the library, and she took lots of classes in college to become a scientist. So those are some things that helped her with her dream. And I think if I have one more thing that I think helped her with her dream is I think that she was very persistent. Persistent is a word that means to persist means that even when something's hard, you still put your all into it, everything you can, even if something is very difficult. So her dream was pretty tough for a few reasons. Remember, they didn't want women scientists back because she was born so long ago, and we're so thankful that that has mostly changed now. But that was one thing she had to overcome, something hard that she had to push through. And also that people didn't really think that sharks, they were kind of not very smart, so they didn't think they should be studied. And she persisted, she fought through that and proved them wrong. So this is a great story about a little girl with a dream and how she was able to accomplish her dream. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about that and about Eugenia specifically. And I would love to know what your thoughts are on the books or what your big dreams that you have are. Maybe you have a big dream you want to let us know about. I'd love to hear about it in the comments. My big dream when I was little, I wanted to be the person who teaches sign language to monkeys. So that was a big dream that I had. So I'm curious, what dreams did you have? How did you see your dreams in Eugenia? And how do you think you might go about accomplishing them? So I hope you enjoyed this story with me, and make sure to stick around tomorrow. We'll have some fun in the kitchen videos and some more bedtime stories tomorrow night. And I'll see you later. Good night, guys.